Pitcock here, coming to you live from the great hot state from Peoria, Arizona this morning with my grandkids. So I am so excited to be here with all of you. Took me a minute to get all these devices set up and to even get dressed. I had baby duty last night. And for those of you that don't know, I have four beautiful grandchildren, of which all live here in Arizona. And I am the babysitter this weekend. They had a little retreat with some of their sales team. And I had baby duty last night. And so just the fact that I didn't cancel and I showed up this morning, I felt like that was a huge win. And I usually spend hours the night before really feeding my mind and thinking about what I'm going to do. There's been a lot happen this week. Some of you know, some of you don't know. How many of you follow me? If you don't, go up in the corner and hit follow so you get all the good stuff and all the details. I do this free every Saturday morning. And the only thing I've ever sold is a book. And I don't have any more copies of my book. Well, I do. I think there's like 12 in the box. I told my niece Lacey, do not sell those, right? Like, I need a new book. That book ended in 2001 when I was on the stage with a great Green Bay Packer NFL football player. And I thought I had arrived. Like, I was in a company that was over a decade old. My husband and I were top earners in the company. I had all the things, and then it failed. And I want to talk to you guys today about how to avoid all the drama, really make your money go to work for you, and set yourself up to be free. Because the fact that I'm where I am today really came from a lot of shitty chapters. And so, how many of you right now, you're crushing it like I was in 2001? You're like, I'm a champion, I'm winning, I'm awesome, things are great. How many of you guys are in the shitty chapter where you're like, I just can't seem to get a break, right? Let me tell you something. Life is going to be ebb and flow. Girlfriends and boyfriends and businesses and not businesses, and kids being good and kids not being in a good situation, and everyone healthy and then people fighting to live. And then, I mean, there's going to be happy days where you have new babies born, and there's going to be really sad days where you say final goodbyes to people that you love. And the hard part about life is that you're going to struggle. Like, there is going to be struggle. None of us are getting out of here alive, right? Do we all know that? Like, if you didn't know that, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but we have to think about the chance that we have right now to make impact. And we have to think about every single day that it's a gift. And my gift, I have learned, I am an empath. I am an absolute empath. I went to a ball game last night to watch my undefeated grandson win and get into the championship where they're all going to get rings. And last year, they only won one game. Last year, they were in their crappy losing season, right? But they got mad and they learned about it, and they didn't like the way that felt. And then Chance said, like, I'm going to put together a team. And of course, any of you know my son, he's a little bit competitive. But instead of being like, they cheated, the refs were horrible, we never win, it's not fair, they said, we're not quitting at the end of fall. We're going to put together a summer league, and we're going to kick everyone's butt winning. And you know what? They are absolutely crushing it. And these kids are stronger because of their losing season. These kids have some teams that there's the moms on this team and the moms on that team, and there's a ton of drama, right? But they're not the drama team. They're just focused on their own stuff, just moving forward and winning. And right now, I am doing 100 days of success tips to help people really learn from all the things that I have failed at. So there is no way that I could be helping you this very minute had I not learned all the things not to do, not just in business, but in life. And so this week, it has been a test. Let me tell you, it has been a test. And the reason why it's been a test is because it would be easy for me to go air out all the drama. And if I did air out drama, a lot of people would be canceled. Institutions would be closed. People would lose their jobs. Like, it's that bad. But I am an empath. I have also learned you got to see both sides to every story. I have also learned I don't always have to be right. And the most important thing that I have learned, do you want to be rich or do you want to be right? Because you're not going to be both. And people who live for drama, the gossip, stirring it up, they're jealous of people, they don't like people, they want to tear people down. I'm just going to tell you, you are never going to be winning. There's never been a statue erected for any critic in all the time on this earth. You are not going to be winning if you're tearing people down. So avoid it at all costs. Did I go put up a good fight this week for something I believe in? Yes, I did. Did I win the argument? No, I did not. Is it wrong? It is so wrong. Like, I lose sleep over it. But here's one thing I learned from Dave's grandma that lived to be 92 or 3 years old. She would have been 100 this year. She said, you can't fight City Hall. And I always think about that every time I want to go throw a fit. I'm from a small town. How many of you are from a small town? Drop in the comments, small town. How many of you live in a big city? Drop in the comments, big city. When you live in a small town, there are always these labels that you will get, right? You live in a small town. Everyone knows what you ate for breakfast, when you had your first bowel movement, and probably what it looked like. And if they don't, they're going to go tell everyone, and they're going to make stuff up just so that they can be the drama king and queen, right? So what I have learned, it is easier for me to leave the drama and go focus and win and make money and make impact and change lives, because there's always going to be the drama, right? So what can you do to really be the person that comes up winning, the champion, the one that makes impact, the one that will be the hero in the end? How do you do that? Sometimes you've got to play the understanding game. You've got to reach down and pull other people up with you, because you need to be humble when the success comes. There are people that have status, and then there's people that have success. And it's my opinion, they're not the same people. and maybe I'm wrong, but I will tell you from failure. Let me tell you what I learned from failure. I had status. Because, and I've studied this a lot, I went really, really deep into this. I grew up without much. My little brother, Jeremy, still laughs and says his feet are deformed because there are not size 13 basketball shoes at the thrift store. Now, I know that's a joke. My mom did not make him wear shoes that were too small, but we didn't just get new shoes. Like, I remember babysitting when my parents went to the Oak Ridge Boys concert, and I loved the Oak Ridge Boys. I was about 5th grade. And I remember babysitting for my mom and dad. Steve and Lucy Knopp, they owned the A&W. The St. Auburns were their friends from Hayes. They had a Frito-Lay distribution business. And my mom and dad, they drove trucks. We had a dairy distribution business. We owned a Natoma Foods grocery store. They owned a portion of the Sonic. They owned a campground. They owned 7 or 8 rental properties all on one street next to my grandma and grandpa that had rental properties. And here's what I remember. Things seemed like they were going so good, right? My mom and dad were so busy making a living, there wasn't a lot of time to make a life. And there were some dysfunctional things that came into play. So how many of you have dysfunction in your family? Maybe it's addiction, maybe it's divorce, maybe it's a whole bunch of people fighting. I got to move because the sun is moving on me here. How many of you have dysfunction in your life? Let's talk about this for just 1 minute, because I really feel like our family was kind of the dysfunction junction, if you want me to be honest with you. And it was something that I learned from my mom, from my grandma. I had 2 different grandmas. I had one that lived on First Street, and I have one that lived on Lincoln Street. And I remember early in my career thinking about the first pair of shoes I got when mom and dad went to the Oak Ridge Boys concert and I didn't get to go. I had to babysit. And I was so mad because, you guys might not remember this song, and I'm dating myself, but there was this song called Elvira, and it was like a big song, probably like as big as when Garth Brooks did Friends in Low Places. Like, I'm old, I'm 53, but this, I'm not old, but I'm older than most of you, especially all my nieces and nephews watching on Instagram. Think of like this song that came out that was like the biggest song ever, and you could either go to the concert with your family or you could stay home, and if you sacrificed, you could get a pair of Nikes at Steinley's shoe store. I was that girl. I was like, I will watch all the kids. I don't care how bad they are, because my eyes were set on this royal blue pair of Nikes that were kind of velvet. They had a white swoosh in them, and I was like, I want them, right? So if I wanted the Nikes, I had to miss the concert. If I wanted to be able to have them, then I was going to have to make a sacrifice. Now, when you're little, you learn sacrifice. Like a GoFundMe when I was growing up was me pushing the lawn on all the rental properties, like all day, every day. And I'm a redhead. I have fair skin. When I get in the sun, I get red bumps all over my arms. I mean, this nose blistered and peeled so many times. I can't believe it's not still scarred, because the whole time I was growing up, it had a pink triangle on it from all the layers of skin that would peel every time I wanted to go to the pool with my friends. Like, I was not that girl that was just born beautiful with blonde hair and dark skin. And no, I had to really work hard at it, right? I had to get like the bottle of QT that turned you orange, or you would have needed sunglasses to even look at me. But I'm going on a whole different tangent here. I think that me growing up that way made me have the status I had in my early years of success. Because when you have failed, when you have had very little, when you have been bullied, when you have been the outcast, when you have been the misfit, when you're not popular, when you grow up and you have to get all your clothes at the garage sale, and all your rich friends who their mom and dad have oil or farming or businesses or whatever, you're like, God, I wish I could go to the department store and get the shoes they have, right? So I was that girl. But man, when I graduated, I was like, I'm about to get all that. And nobody could outwork me. That's the one thing I got from my mom. So mom and dad, but I forgot to put in the part about when my dad left my senior year. It was just me, mom, and all the kids. So I learned how to work hard, and I learned what not to do in really short order, like fast. I learned what not to do. So I'm 18. I want to go to college. All my friends are going to K-State, KU. They're getting in the sororities. They're making the dance team. They're doing all the things. I'm working nights at Stop to Shop. I'm working early mornings on the weekends at Merity's and the Boot Hill Cafe. And I'm driving 45 minutes one way to do 8 hours a day in beauty school, because it's an hour thing. And if you miss, you graduate behind everyone else. So I'm there and I'm working and I'm dreaming, and I'm like, I'm going to make money. I'm going to make so much money. And I did. But let me tell you how this went. One day on lunch break, I walked across the street from the beauty school to Marmy's Chevrolet. And there was a red convertible, a ragtop convertible. And it had a black top that came down. And I was like, I'm going to have that convertible, right? Now, I was teaching dance and I was going to beauty school. And so I was a dancer at a young age, started teaching dance at 16. By the time I was 18, I had about 35 students. By the time Dave and I got married, I had about 60 students. So I had money coming in, right? Leverage. I wasn't about to go to school, get out of school, and go work for someone that could tell me I was still going to have to go buy my clothes at a garage sale. I definitely wasn't going to drive the car that I drove in high school that wouldn't start at every stop sign. And I had to get out, lay down under it on Main Street in front of all my friends, and mess with the linkage on the 1966 Mustang to get it to go from reverse back into first gear. Like, it's hard to back down Main Street in front of all your friends. It's not cool. Did that a couple times. But I had this burning desire in me to win. And when I did, early on, I was not humble. I had a banging salon. I was doing 10 perms a day. I could make $350 every morning I opened the salon. Then I bought a tanning bed. I was teaching dance. Like, I was doing all the things. And I had this dream which is good, right? The dream is why I worked so hard. But then when the money came, I had never had money before. And this is where it went bad. I had status. Write this down. Status is when you buy things you can't afford to impress people you don't like who don't care anyway. And the next thing you knew, I had a boat, I had a Jeep. I didn't have the Jeep. I bought the Jeep for the fiance that didn't even really want to be with me, and he would take it and he would go get all the girls and go to the lake, right? True story. But I was paying for it. We looked good. We smelled good. We got a really good lease. I was 19 years old. I leased a big brick house. I bought the boat. I bought the Jeep. Then I had to have the expensive dog. I mean, imagine this, you guys. This is before social media was even a thing. If I would have had social media back then, I would have been an absolute train wreck when the storms came. But instead, if you live in a small town, that's worse than social media anyway, because you could be canceled like that. You can be the town success like that. You can be the town failure like that. And you can be things you didn't even know you were like that. Drama, 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 drama. So I made a lot of money. I bought a lot of stuff. I was in a bad relationship. And the next thing you knew, I found love. I found happiness. I found someone that made my heart beat like it had never beat before. But I was held hostage to all of this debt that I had accumulated because of my success. So I wanted to move to Cody, Wyoming. I wanted to run away with a bull rider that stole my heart. I wanted to get in a relationship and be loved and valued and all the things. But I had this shackle around my leg that was like, you have to pay for the car. You have to pay for the house. You opened this business. You have all these dance girls. You bought this salon equipment. You own these tanning beds. Like, you know, I had all of this stuff, the boat, the Jeep, the things. So I learned early on, very early on, the more debt you accrue, the less freedom you have. But nothing could stop me from what I saw. And I was hellbound. I was going to be with Dave Pitcock for the rest of my life. And so pretty soon, everybody was talking, right? Everybody was talking, every kind of rumor. She did this, he did that. Did you hear? Blah, 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 blah. And it literally drove a wedge even between me and my own sister. Like, it created division in family. It created division in friendships. It created division in business. And here's one thing that I've learned. My friendships will never be determined by a business. If me being your friend has something to do with us being in the same business, or us being of the same political party, or us being of the same religion, or me and you agreeing about something someone did in our family, then we were never friends anyway. That's not friendship. Oh my gosh, you guys want some sunshine in your life real quick?
Who's this girl?
Look at this girl.
Hey, wake up, girl.
Rosie, look at the people. Look at these beautiful blue eyes. Oh, can we just interrupt this broadcast for the most beautiful little girl in the world? Show them how you wave. Say hi. Say hi, Rosie. Say, I love my grandma and I love my grandpa. And I'm the strongest girl in the world. Show them your muscles. Yeah. Say hi. Say hi. I love you, love you, love you. Yeah. Good morning. You just put lips on your forehead. So anyway, this is Rosie. Now I know you guys won't be able to look at me because you want to look at her, but she's just so cute. I'll try to keep my focus here. So then Dave and I end up selling off everything. I end up losing my clientele. We end up moving to Wyoming. And because of all of this, oh, you want Papa Dave? She's okay. Yeah, you can get her a bottle. Because of all of this, we end up in Cody, Wyoming, renting, living with pennies, get rid of everything, ruin my credit. And guess what happens, guys? We are at the food pantry. I have no clientele. I have lost all my customers to someone else in Kansas. You want your papa, or are you going to sit on my lap? And all of a sudden, I'm back to square zero. Now, let me tell you what I learned during that hard time. Save for a rainy day. There's always going to be ebb and flow. There's going to be good chapters in your life. There's going to be chapters in your life where you want to quit every good thing that ever happened to you. But that time that Dave and I had in Cody, Wyoming, when we were living in a rental that we couldn't afford rent on, sold the Mustang, sold the horse, sold the boat, sold the Jeep, sold all the things, ruined our credit, had zero savings, had zero freedom, learned what not to do. But then we came back to Kansas and we got married, and Dave was working for a construction company. And let me tell you, we just moved a few miles from home. And even when we went to that town, there was drama, there was cliques, there was gossip. There were people tearing people down. There were people building people up. When you work on a construction crew with a dozen men and it's a family business and the daughter runs the office, I loved this family. We were best friends. We're still great friends. They're actually the ones that led Dave to be a born-again Christian, really, really born-again Christian. I mean, he went to church his whole childhood, but that chapter was, it's one thing to say that you're a believer and it's one thing to go to church, but it's another thing when you really know God. And I feel like where Dave and I really got to know God was during those times when we had nothing. We literally started from nothing. I almost lost my life giving birth to our first daughter. And we really got to know God. And let me tell you what God doesn't do. God is love. I don't care what religion you are. God is all love. God is all forgiveness. God is not drama. God is not gossip. God is not judgment. God is not blame. God is not shame. God is not guilt. And if you don't think that has something to do with your success in life and your failures, then you're going to have to keep learning that lesson. Because what happened to me, I didn't just learn it once. I had to go learn it all again. So my life was spared during a horrible disease with a pregnancy. And somehow, by the grace of God, I lived. And Dave and I were on a mission. We were going to save the whole world. I mean, we were holy rollers, right? And then there were people saying, do you know what they did? Do you know? And here's the thing. People gonna talk. People gonna blame. People are going to, because they're so insecure and they don't have any confidence themselves. And the only way they feel good is stirring the pot. Anybody know a pot stirrer? You don't have to tag them. But do any of you know that person that just always knows the soup? They're always stirring the pot. They always got the latest story on whoever it is, and they can't wait to share it, to tell it, to text it. So somehow in the beauty industry and with Dave working at Amarine, I got caught up in all these people that were constantly stirring the pot. He got a company truck and I didn't get a company truck. He gets benefits and I didn't get benefits. This wife did this. That wife did that. This one's having an affair while they're traveling all week. And it was like we were in the muck. Write this down. You will be the average of your 5 closest friends. And there is no way out of that trap. So Dave and I, we loved our friends. I mean, they were in our wedding. They were amazing. I loved their children. Our kids played together. But everybody around me was broke. And everybody around me was miserable. And I mean, desperate people do desperate things, right? And it's a habit. Our success habits or our habits of failure rub off on us based on environment. So this week, when I was so tempted to go expose all the corruption in my little town, I was so tempted to go on a rant. I was so tempted to be right. I had to think to myself, do I want to be right or do I want to make impact? Do I want to be right or do I want to be rich? And rich, I'm not talking about money, guys. Rich is when you have time freedom, when you have financial freedom, when you have deep relationships and friendships, when you have a solid faith and you just know, a big lion in the jungle isn't running through the jungle and all of a sudden a little snake hisses and the lion turns around and says, quit hissing at me. No, the lion just keeps going because he's the lion. Like some of you have got to look for the snakes and be like, that's a snake. Some of you, you're hanging out with the monkeys and you don't even know you're one of the monkeys. You're just in the middle of the muck. And so what happened for Dave and I, one day he was going to college and, everybody was telling him, you need to finish and get your degree. You need to finish and get your college education, including his mom. God love her. We all have certain values. And one of the things that was very important to Dave's mom was education. She was very, very smart. She was a wise woman, like 4.0 college degree, master's degree. But she didn't get that until after she was a single mom, making $7 an hour, trying to raise these kids. She wanted security. She wanted her own degree. Now, some of you, that's the way for you. You want your degree, you want your college education, you want to work for someone, you want a solid paycheck. You want to know. It is that, some people, they live on the edge. They like to take a risk. They have, what do you call that? I'm missing the word right now. It's a Tony Robbins thing. So certainty. You want certainty. But certainty can sometimes create a very boring life. Some of you need uncertainty. So I grew up in a family where there was no certainty. We were risk takers. We were entrepreneurs, serial entrepreneurs. Like my mom owns half the town and she's the lady that lost her house and moved us all into a trailer house. She doesn't have a college education. She has a work ethic. She owns everything she touches turns to gold. Do you know why? Because she knows it's gonna, and she will outwork anybody. But there are other people, and this is just beliefs that we have, that work in a different direction. And so I started my story about talking about the two grandmas I had. They came from completely different backgrounds and they taught me completely different lessons. It's like a buffet. You got to take what you love and you can leave what you don't love. But I'm going to tell you, you don't have to tell everyone that's eating the beets on the buffet that they're a bad person. You just need to, if you don't like beets, do you guys like beets? Drop beets. If you drop the pukey emoji. So Dave's never going to eat a beet. Never going to eat a beet. He's never ate yogurt until this year. I got him to try some vanilla yogurt. It wasn't that bad, but he was convinced that it was bad because of the beliefs that he grew up with. He's never touching mayonnaise. I put mayonnaise on everything, right? So moral of my story, wherever you hang around that environment, that's exactly what you are going to become. You will be like those people, their habits, their thoughts, their drama, their gossip. If they drink, you hang around the bar long enough, you're going to have a drink. If they smoke, you hang around the table long enough, you're probably going to try to smoke. It's just like osmosis. We become like our environment. So here's what happened. Dave quit his job and we had status. I told him, everyone else is wrong. We need to own our own business. He quit college. He quit working for a boss, and we started our own businesses. Now, we were young, guys, and I had a little thorn in my side, and I had a point to prove, and I wanted everyone to know that being your own boss is the best way to do it. And we were going to make it no matter how many people said we weren't going to make it. There were people saying, it's not going to work. 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 You're stupid. You're crazy. And you guys, failure was not an option for me. Failure was absolutely not an option for me. But it was an election year. And oil went to $7 a barrel. And the stock market crashed. And all the people were fighting. And the guy from our hometown was running for president. True story. Bob Dole. Grew up in my hometown. So Dave and I, we took the risk. We got the t-shirts, we got the pens, we got the blankets. We went on the tour. We were at the Republican rallies. We were selling t-shirts. We were selling all the souvenirs. We thought our ship was coming in, and it didn't. And once again, we found ourselves deep in debt. Not enough money to pay for all of the things that we say, bye, Rosie. Papa Dave's got her breakfast. Say bye. Time for food.
Are we ready?
Say bye. Can you kiss the phone? She always kisses the phone. You kiss the phone. Say bye. Most beautiful girl in the world. Rosie Lou, named after Cindy Lou Pitcock. And here's the second visitor of the morning. You got grandma's messy hair. Say hi to the people. No,
Sunny.
it's too sunny. Okay, I'm almost done. Watching 4 kids and doing a live, you guys. That is a risk. So let me tell you what happened. This is going to be my next reel. This is going to be my next TikTok. This is going to be my next lesson. So write this down. We failed. 1996 comes along. We crawl out of failure. 1997, we're making our way out of all this debt in a bankruptcy situation. Backs against the wall, utilities turned off, can't even get my dog out of the pound. And I wanted to show these people because I hated these people that started all this drama that talked bad about me. Have you guys ever been there? There's like this person that said something about you and you just can't let it go. And by God, you're going to be right if it kills you. And, you know, I almost died trying to prove them wrong. But like, you're not going to let them have the last word. Let the naysayers be the reason you succeed. But do not spend the money you make to have status. Let the naysayers be your reason. I got a lot of them. I got so many haters. I got haters watching me right now. And I'm just over here beaming. Hate away. Hate away. My God is an awesome God. And he blesses things that are in alignment with him. And I'm telling you guys, stuff that you buy, material things, having status, spending money that you don't have on things that you don't need to feel good for a minute, nothing is ever going to quench that thirst. Because people that do that, it's an insecurity. I didn't know that, but I learned it not just once, but twice. And Dave and I fell into something that had the right timing, an amazing product. I had a mentor that said to me, quit listening to people making $30,000 a year. Go listen to some people making 30 grand a month, 30 grand a week. I'll introduce you. And I listened. And you know what people said? You're getting brainwashed. You're dressing weird. You've changed. Thank God, right? Thank God I changed. Thank God I decided to get new habits, a new circle, new beliefs, new daily method of operation. And Dave and I started to have more success than we ever dreamt possible. And I'm telling you guys, it happened in 90 days. It literally happened in 90 days. A sudden shift happened. A sudden shift to where we were like, oh my gosh, what just happened? How many of you need a sudden shift? There are people in my life that I love. They need a sudden shift. Like they need it now. But here's what I've learned. It's their journey. I can't make anybody change the way that they believe. And I can't make anybody change their habits. I can't make anybody be smart with their money. I can't make anybody take action in the areas I think they should take action in. All I can do is be a great example. So if I had 3 minutes to make a reel or to make a short YouTube or to teach somebody from my failures what not to do, this is what I would say. First of all, status is when you spend money you don't have on things you can't afford that you don't need to impress all of the people that you don't like who really don't care anyway. And if you knew how little they truly cared, you would probably be insulted. You would quit worrying about all the things that you think are important that aren't important, and you would go focus on what's important. So 1997 comes along. Dave and I fell into something. We made more money in a very short time than we had ever made in our life. We were making more in a month than we used to make in a year. And guess what we did? 1 month, we made $47,000. We were barely 30 years old. We bought a new boat. We bought a deck liner party boat. We bought a $10,000 mechanical bull just to have a party in our driveway. I bought a white vinyl fence that I wrapped around my entire house with the huge white columns on it. And I bought me an Infiniti Q45, and Dave got a badass dually pickup red Ford, the Lariat. Like, think of like the King Ranch. And I had other friends that took the same 47,000 they made that month, drove their old car that looked like a brown turd, bought a HUD house down the street, or a repossessed condo, or the duplex, and my car payment was $1,500 a month, and they had 2 rental properties with the exact same money spent. I had a gold watch in the middle of the dash, and I rolled into town for the first time in my life without a muffler that woke up everybody in the neighborhood. Like, I felt so good. I had arrived. And thank God there wasn't social media, because I would have been that girl. I would have been like, you see me over here with my Infinity Q45 because I'm making money and I'm rich and I'm, that would have been me. I would have been that girl. But let me tell you what happened. Everything is ebb and flow. And this amazing company and this amazing lifestyle and this amazing money that I had created with hard work was dependent on people and their decisions. I did not have control of my future. And within a few years, everything that I had built based on poor decisions, I still love these people. They're human. They're going to make mistakes. Bad partnerships. Another lesson that I have learned through failure. 2 times in my life, I've been in a boardroom where there was so much opportunity and it was so exciting and the timing was so good and the money was going to be there, that I entered into partnerships, business partnerships. The people that I entered with were not bad people. They're good people. I'm good people. We're just not in alignment at all. Not even a little bit, right? Lost it all. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. My mentor overnighted me a book. It was called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I always told Dave I was going to write a new book called Good Grandma, Bad Grandma, because both of my grandmas were amazing. And today in my life, I have more respect for the one grandma that I thought was not good than I ever had when I was a little girl. I thought she was good. She just partied a lot. That house was a lot of addiction, a lot of smoking, a lot of drinking, a lot of men in and out, singles club, a lot of Saturday night dances. She was a believer. Don't get me wrong. I went to church with her, Wednesday night catechism, Saturday night confession. We did all the things there too. But that grandma did not have the means. Maybe she didn't have the mentor. She was the grandma that had assistance. She was the grandma that didn't have to go out and make a way, right? My other grandma around the block, she worked 9 to 5. She actually worked 6 a.m. to 2 at the hospital as a cook in the kitchen. But 2 o'clock to 10 o'clock, she wasn't working for someone else. She worked 6 to 2 to make their dreams come true. And my grandpa did too. He worked for city service. He pumped oil for 25 years straight. They got the watch. They got the diamond little, city service 25 years award. He could retire from there. It was traditional back then. I mean, that was 40 years ago. But you know what they did from 2 to 10? She did Fuller Brush. She did Shackley. She did Herbalife. She went and volunteered at the church. She was working on a rental property. They were investing in things because they had a good mentor. In that house were old albums of Earl Nightingale. Do you guys know who Earl Nightingale is? The strangest secret. We become what we think about most of the time. Now, my grandma and grandpa practically raised me because mom and dad were workaholics. Their butts never hit the couch. All they did was work. My mom is still that way. Her butt never hits the couch until she sits down at 10 or 11 o'clock at night to go to sleep. And there's nothing wrong with that. She raised 5 amazing kids. All of them are 6-figure earners. None of them are in the profession that I'm in, and they all made it. So just because I do something to make money doesn't mean it's the only way. But there are people in my profession that think if you don't do what we do, you're stupid. And those people never make it. I mean, you might believe that, but you don't have to tell people that. You know, you can't be tearing people down and think that you're building a strong foundation. And you can't spend all of your money on things that you can't afford and think you're going to be financially free. So after the third time of losing it all, Dave and I made some really strong decisions. We were probably 40. And I was like, you know, we're going to get to a point that we only spend and live on the money that comes from assets, and we're not buying liabilities anymore. So let me give you guys a couple of examples. I don't have to tell you about my income bracket, but I will tell you this. I could drive a really bougie car. I mean, I have a nice car, but I could be bougie. I could buy a mansion on Grand Lake, but instead I buy little houses that I can rent, so that if, God forbid, ever anything happened to me that I couldn't work this hard, there would be cash flow coming in from an asset, not a liability parked in my driveway. I love to go look at homes. I would love to build a custom home someday. I would love to have the home of my dreams someday. But I will never have debt for me to have a crazy, amazing lifestyle until I can literally pay for it just from the income that flows in from the assets. So if you were 18 years old and you came to me and you said, what should I do? If you were going to buy a new car, I would tell you, if you live in a city, put it on Turo when you're not driving it so that someone else is helping you make the car. If you said to me, I'm working 9 to 5, but I want to make extra money, I would say to you, what do you love to do that you could monetize? I loved to dance. I love little kids. They literally make the world go round. And I would go and teach dance to 12 3-year-olds. Even when I was running a company doing $1 million in a 90-day span, I would leave at 3:30 and go sit on the floor with 3-year-olds because it filled my soul. I could sit on the floor. My name is Miss Puffy. I sit on the floor with the bottoms of my feet together, holding my ankles so. Sometimes I get so tired, I fall. Wake up, Miss Puffy. Sit very tall. I could do this and teach your little 3-year-olds on YouTube. I could teach your little 3-year-olds on a Zoom. There is nothing I love more than teaching a 3-year-old first position, second position, plie, tendu. But guess what, guys? I couldn't teach enough 3-year-olds to achieve time freedom, financial freedom, and to live my dreams being with my kids wherever I wanted, whenever I wanted, and having the money to pay for it. So just because there's something I love to do, I couldn't do everything that I wanted to do in this lifetime just owning a dance school. So I had to make a decision. It made money. I was good at it, but I couldn't spend all of my time doing that, because if I did, I wasn't going to be free. And some of you are in a cycle where you're trapped by debt. Here's what I would say to you. Sell that shit. Sell it. Get a used car. Humble yourself. Drive something that's paid for. Unless you need it as a tax write-off and it's a lease and you're going to have to pay the money to the government anyway. But I've never done a lease since I learned the hard way. You can't lease a car and drive the miles I drive. I buy them so used with so many miles on them that someone else drove it off the lot. They lost 25 grand on the new car. They had the status. They got the Instagram post. They're stuck with the payment. You ever had buyer's remorse? I mean, I have done this multiple times, guys. It's when you know that you made an emotional decision and you bought something that you really can't afford. And if you're trapped in that, it's most of the world. It's credit card debt. It's the Lincoln. It's the Mercedes. It's lately the Tesla. Guys, you can find a used one that looks just like that if you have status. You can go find a used one that looks like it if you've got to look good in front of your friends. But do not go into debt to impress all the people around you. I live in the same house I lived in when Callie was 3 years old, and I don't plan on moving out of it anytime soon. They want me to. I could. I would like to be closer to my kids, but paid for feels better than status, guys. No debt is healthier for your brain, your heart, your gut, your relationships, your stress level. No debt is better than having the Instagram post. And let me tell you what happened in 1997. I got all the things because I wanted to show them that I was coming up and we were making it. And I was talking about the money we were making in the house that we lived in and the car that we were driving. And we were on the cover of all the magazines. And then when the winds of change came, I had to learn the lesson again. So here in this chapter of my life, as the CEO of a company where people are making so much money, they literally can make as much as they want. There is no ceiling, and they are. This is what I tell them. Do not quit your job just to show everybody that you quit your job until you're making about 3-4 times more than you need to live on 6 months in a row. Do not go buy a new car and talk about how you are crushing it in your company. Because what happened for Dave and I, let me tell you the end of this story, and then I got to jump on our company training. We bought the Infinity. We bought the dually. We spent all the money we made, right? And then the property taxes came, and I was like, what's this? And then I couldn't even afford to put a current tag on it. So I'm driving around in an Infinity QX4 or an Infinity with the gold. I had 2 of them, the SUV and the sedan. But they had expired tags on them, right? So I looked good. I smelled good. Everybody thought that we were killing it. But underneath the water, we were paddling like this. And you guys, it's not good on a relationship. It's not good on a marriage. It's not good, your mood to your kids. Lack of money is the #1 stress on most marriages. It's why parents, too much going on and not enough time, too many bills and not enough money is the #1 reason most little kids experience verbal abuse. I guarantee you it's what happened to me when I was 12 years old. My mom and dad were working so hard, and I look back, I hated my dad at that time. And now I understand. I completely understand. I'm at a point in my life where I forgive because I had no idea at the time what those people were going through. In my industry, there is so much drama. People are so mean. They're tearing each other down. They're creating gossip and drama. Desperate people do desperate things. And as quick as they build on that sandy foundation, it will come right back down. You cannot build an empire on a culture with gossip, egos, backbiting, people talking bad about one another, status, trying to be something that you're really not. Just be humble. Just be a good human. Live below your means. Sell the stuff. Get out of debt. And only buy the things you know you can pay cash for. We just got a credit card this year because we really need it for all of our corporate stuff. I haven't had a credit card since 1996. Pay cash. Don't tell me you can't afford it. You can afford it. If you need financial advice, drop in the comment the $ advice. I'll send you all the books. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a great one to start. And I don't care if you're a college graduate, you're an employee, you're a business owner, you're in direct sales. All my siblings do different things. They're all crushing it financially. It is a belief system. It is getting yourself in the vortex and the rhythm and getting in the right environment and having a great mentor and always, always, always living below your means. It takes money to make money. You need to have the cash flow to get to the event, to buy the products, to invest in your store, your education, your personal development, whatever it is. You can't be having all the money that comes in going to bank payments. That's never going to build an empire. So we're going to have to do take 2 on this because I'm about to be late to my company Zoom where I can't wait to interview a couple of brand new people that just got started and they're already crushing it. It's what makes my heart go pitter patter, pitter patter. And one thing you will never see on my wall, even if I do have it in my life, I'm never bringing negative. When you're upset or mad or sad or whatever, get off Facebook. Just go away because what you give energy to, you will get more of. And you got to look at solutions and solving problems. And if you can't do it, just pray about it because God always has the victory won. And this week, when I wanted to go post and create drama and expose people and be angry about all the things that aren't right, I gave it to God. You guys, he moved heaven and earth. He literally is a way maker for everything you're worrying about. You just have to get off the throne and know that you can have and be and do anything you dream of if you stay humble, you live below your means, you sow seeds into other people and serve. That's all we're here to do on this entire lifetime. Serve others and witness. And the minute you learn that, your life is going to get so much easier. So get in the room with the right people. You guys have an amazing week. And I will talk to you next week on No Guts, No Story. If you got some great value, please do me a favor. Hit that follow button. Put if you're watching live, #live. If you watch the replay, #replay. And I'll see you next week on the next episode of No Guts, No Story. Have a great day, everyone.